No, no problem. There's no problem with that. I don't just decided to check it out.
Hello, Michael.
Yes, I can hear you.
Michael, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. All right. So, are we ready to start?
Just give me a minute.
Okay.
Hello.
Mr. Chair, you can start. And it's being
Okay.
recorded.
Okay. So this is a meeting of the Armory Park Steering Zoning Advisory Board, March 18, 2025. So we're going to start by a roll call. Stan Sherman,
Here.
And for the record, the meeting is starting at 6:31 p.m.
okay. Stan Sherman,
Here, present.
Linda Sutherland,
Present.
and I'm here. Okay, Helen Harrison is not here, so we do have a quorum, 3 out of 4. So our first item is to review and approval of the legal action reports. Do we hear a motion to approve the legal action reports?
I was unable to locate them on the website, so unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to review them.
Okay, there's a lot of feedback. I didn't hear what you said.
That's my fault, sorry.
I was unable
good.
to locate the minutes from the previous meeting, so I was unable to look at them to comment.
Okay. Okay, well, I did see them. Did you see them, Lynn?
No.
Okay, so I guess
Mr.
we're
Chair,
gonna,
there is a hand up.
I'm sorry.
There is a hand from John Burr. He's raising his hand. Maybe he has something to say if you want to let him talk.
Yes, absolutely.
The legal action report was posted along with the material for this meeting. So I am not sure why some members are saying they didn't see it, but I posted it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it as we speak. Okay, it's from the Tuesday, January 21st, 2024 virtual meeting. Okay. But I guess I'm the only one that has read it. Okay, so
You can always, Mr. Chair, you can always carry it forward to the next meeting. If the board has not had a chance to review it, we can always put it on the agenda for the next meeting for review, comments, and approval.
Okay, do I have a motion from the floor to review it at the next meeting?
I move that we postpone this until the next meeting. Move it forward till the next
Okay.
meeting.
Well, second.
Do we Okay. Um, uh,
I have a couple
Let's
quick
vote on it.
corrections that the board might consider. The replacement at 417 South Fourth should be cedar shake shingles replaced with cedar-like asphalt shingles. And there's a couple corrections to my quote at the end that I can send you, Michael.
Excuse me?
The quote I said when I was clarifying the motion from the November meeting, I think you probably got a transcript. It wasn't quite what I said. I can send you a couple corrections for the next version that comes up for the board.
Okay, you can do that, please.
Great, thank you. That's all.
Okay, let's have a vote. Stan? Let's have a vote on that one. We're voting on approving the
The vote is to not
postpone.
approve.
No,
Well,
we're voting to postpone.
go ahead,
To
Mr. Chair.
postpone the approval of, okay, we're voting to approve the postponement of the approval for the LAR until next meeting.
Okay, approved. Yes,
Lynn? Okay, you're approved too, and now approved too, so the
Yes.
motion is passed. Okay, great. Okay. So, moving on, okay. We have a call to the audience. Okay. Do we have any calls from the audience?
No, Mr. Chair, I did not receive any.
Okay, so no calls to the audience, which brings us to the reviews. Now, originally, there were two reviews. There was a full demolition of existing contributing structure for redevelopment of parking, which was a TCDMO 0225-00043-TD/DEV/1122/00054 at 410 6th Avenue. Okay, that review was canceled. So I just want to make a quick comment on it. Okay, any proposed demolition must be done by the Tucson Code 5.8.10 by mayor and council, following a delisting process overseen by state and federal statutes. So we were kind of surprised to see this request for a permit, but like I said, the request was canceled.
Mr. Chair,
Do you?
Chair,
Yes, Michael.
this review is not before you for today. So please, let's not make comments on it. We can talk about it when it is scheduled. It is not on schedule today. So please, let's not talk about it.
Well, it was canceled on today's agenda. Is basically what I mean. Am I correct?
Yes, you are correct to say that
Michael?
it's not before you today. So let's end it as
Exactly.
such. Thank you.
Okay. Which brings us to.
I have a question. When will it be brought before us again?
I will inform you in advance. We don't know yet.
Why was it canceled?
Sir, it is not before the board today. The only thing I can say is that the application appeared incomplete and the director decided to pull it down. When the application will be complete, it will come before the board.
Okay. Lynn, do you have any comments?
Mr. Chair, we're not commenting on it. It is not before the board today. Please.
Okay. All right, so we're not going to comment on this. Okay, so that brings us to reviews B, which is SD-0924-0098 for 222 South Fifth Avenue. Final review for the addition of dark park lighting, colors, and pavement surfaces. this is a full review, contribution resource, rehabilitation standards, and we have a 30 minutes to talk about it. Do we have a member at the Parks and Recreation to bring it up to the floor?
Who is going to
Yes.
start? I make the co-host here. I see a lot of people here. Eric is here, Michael is here, Elliot is here, Matt Smith is here. So who is going to start as a co-host?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Michael. I'm actually going to throw it right over to our consultants on this to talk a little bit more about this. So we have Michael Becker here, who's, if you would make him co-host, I'm sure he can talk us through.
Okay, we can do that. Just, I believe the board has seen this couple of times, from a courtesy review to a full review, and they are coming back to you again because I believe the project has gone to a level where they need to actually implement. So that's why they are coming to you with this limited scope of work. I'm going to make Michael the co-host so he can lead the conversation here.
But Eric, I don't have Eric's drawings. Eric, do you want to kick it off and go through the site first and then do the pavilion, or you want to do the pavilion first?
You can go and do the pavilion first. I think that's fine. That's sorry.
So yeah, thanks for seeing us tonight. We'll try to be brief. We've seen this a couple times before. We're actually here just to review a very limited number of things. Our understanding is in the last meeting, several components of this design were approved by this body, including the pavilion, the overall park layout. Tonight for the pavilion, what I want to show you is the materials and the colors, and then the final lighting design. And then I know Eric has a few components in the rest of the park to cover after that. So let me share my screen. Let's see. Let's see. Hang on a second. I have to get the right stuff up here. Give me just a second.
So Michael, what you are looking for, is it related to the items that are on the agenda today?
Yes. I have the files. I just need to get them pulled up properly. I apologize for the delay. Just give me 1 second here.
Just for the record, Elliot and Jasmine presented at the Neighborhood Association meeting last Tuesday with a somewhat revised footprint for the plaza. But the images were from the prior, and the plans that were posted to the board were older plans.
Okay.
If you have me, I could run through the site stuff real quick if you want me to, Michael, if you're still trying to bring that up. Sorry, because we kind of didn't talk about who's presenting when.
All
So.
right. Nope, I got it. I'm good. I have found everything, I think. We'll see.
And I have some of your stuff as well, but yeah.
There you go. Oh, that's not it. You're not seeing what I want you to see. Hang on.
Sorry, I just threw the team right under the bus.
That's all right. All right. So As you recall, so this was the pavilion design. Let me zoom in just a little bit on this. So it was basically it was a square pavilion that was at the 45-degree angle that had the planters at the base of it. It's basically, we have not changed the structure to the design of the pavilion since the last time we presented to you. We have changed the color. It's sort of a dark bronze color. We were previously showing the underside of this as a brighter yellow color, but we've decided that to keep the whole thing a little more muted, so that it blends in a little more with the park and is a little more consistent. This is a kind of night view of it, so you can see the lighting will be up in the rafters of the actual pavilion itself. This is a view from the backside where you can see there'll be a trellis system that spans between the columns that allow vines to grow up the backside of the pavilion as a backdrop to the actual sort of performance area. And then this is just sort of an aerial view to show how it sits in the park in front of the existing entrance. This is the plan of the pavilion. The other thing we want to talk about was the final pavement layout. So we do have a central plaza through a series of comments with the Historic Commission and with the Landscape Subcommittee. We collaborated with them and came up with a decision to have a single concrete plaza, but then to have some patterns in it that would emphasize the original cruciform geometry of the park. So what you're seeing is the lighter concrete would just be your standard sort of finished concrete, smooth finished concrete that a sidewalk typically would be. And then the darker bands, it's not colored, but it would be a salt finished concrete. So it has a slightly different texture so that you'll be able to kind of read, the space of this and really sort of reestablishing the conceptual center of the park. Because as you know, with the construction of the senior center, it basically disrupted the original sort of cruciform central focus of the park. So we want to reestablish that within the plaza itself. Off to the side here, what you're seeing, these are where the columns are, and they sit down into the planters with a seat wall that then can be used for performances. People could stand on that or use it in different ways as part of the backdrop for the performance. So like I said, that the planters and the actual pavilion itself was approved the last time we met with you. So it's really the plaza layout that you're seeing is the new material that we're presenting tonight. On the materials, so you're seeing here the materials for the building itself. We have some concrete, some exposed concrete. We had talked about trying to find some of the lava rock from a mountain to use as the base for the seat walls. That does not seem to be a realistic expectation. It's not available, and what it is available is both very expensive in a very small quantity. So we're proposing to use a ground face block. So it's a very smooth, finished block, but it has a dark color to it. So it'll be more of a dark, this is called black boulder, is the color name, but it's basically a polished concrete surface that then would create that dark base. Sitting on top of that dark base would be a concrete cap that you would actually sit on. The roof of the structure is a metal diamond shingle, and we talked about this last time that that diamond form we think works well with the geometry of both the pavilion and the park. It's also a shingle form that is seen in some of the 1920s architecture, not so much in Armory Park itself, but certainly in that era of architecture, you see that quite often. And then we would have two colors of the dark bronze paint. One of the dark bronze paints would be more for the rafters and the structure above, and then a slightly lighter color for the column structure so that it will sort of stand out and you can see those two distinct elements. So let me zoom in just a little bit on this so you can actually see. I'll point out kind of where these materials are in these elevations that we've drawn here. So at the base here, where I'm drawing this red line, that is that dark ground face concrete block, and then we have the concrete cap that you at the kind of top of the seat wall that you would actually sit on. There is a concrete wall that comes up behind that to help form the planter. These are the steel columns that are the lighter bronze color. and then the darker bronze color in the rafters and in the actual structure of the pavilion roof. If we slide over to this just shows from another angle so you can actually see that roof. And we're going with a sort of a gray, a darker gray, but more of a zinc colored pre-finished metal. In that way, it'll reduce the reflection into the senior center. It won't be a bright surface. So we don't want to sort of obviously create glare or other issues within the senior center itself. And let's see. The only other item was the lighting. So we have two types of lighting within the pavilion structure. So around the perimeter, this is the plan of the shade structure. This is the low end of it, and this is the high end of it. Just remember, it sort of rises from back to front. So along the back side at the lower sections where someone could potentially reach the lighting, we have a very substantial linear LED light that will light that rafter space. It's intended to be vandal resistant, and it will also be a dark bronze color. It's shown in stainless steel here. I just couldn't find an image of it in the correct finish. And then at the higher part of the roof, where we're away from the planter walls, we're going to have more of a spot fixture. It will also be focused on the underside of the roof structure to really illuminate that bottom of the roof structure and then get the reflected light down onto the surface underneath the pavilion itself. We're going to have lighting controls with this, and obviously it'll be on timers and be available. It basically will be on at night. We want it to be lit so that, you know, it basically for safety and security, but also that people can use it in the evenings as well. So hopefully that was relatively clear and you guys kind of followed along okay. Any questions on this portion of the work? And then Eric can go through the rest of the park.
I do.
Stan, go ahead, Stan.
Obviously, you have electrical out there to provide lighting.
Yes.
When a band is there, will there be outlets somewhere along the planter walls that they
Yes.
can access, or are you going to have to pull it from the building?
Oh, no. We do have basically electrical outlets on either end of both sides of the planters here where I'm drawing these red dots right now.
Okay.
And they will be in, you know, sealed boxes that are locked so that parks can open them up and people can use them when they need them. But then when, you know, the band show or when the pavilion's not being used for performance, they will be secure.
And I'm assuming then you're assuming that would be more than adequate power for whatever bands may require.
Yeah, I mean, it would be, you know, 4 separate dedicated circuits that would handle that. And then if they needed additional power, we could certainly pull it out of the senior center. But I think for this size of performance that I think we can realistically expect here, that should be plenty of power.
There is no 220 requirements in?
No.
Okay.
No, amplification equipment at this scale is always 120.
Would there be any other functions that might require a 220 outlet? That you could have, some type of party that would require? I don't know that that's the case, but I'm just asking.
I don't think so. I wouldn't. I would be surprised if someone brought a piece of equipment out here that required that kind of power.
Okay.
The only thing I could think of would be, sorry, I don't know how to raise my hand, would be refrigeration or heating for a caterer. So you would just need to be able to keep an eye on that. And they should be able to work that in other ways with other kinds of hot boxes.
Yes.
John, do you have any comments?
It's fine. Bronze is okay. I mean, I like lighter under and darker above, but it's a thoughtful system, and I'm hoping that the new lights will be bronze as well.
Yes.
Yay! But the old one's black and silver, like traditional. My comment is about the black boulder base, because you talked about if you couldn't get Arizona Easy Mountain Rock or other things, that it would still have a rubble sort of feeling. There's a prohibition on Armory Park of exposed concrete blocks. So is it rusticated or rounded or raised, or is it going to look like black painted concrete block?
It's not rusticated. Now what we could do is get a split face block that has a darker color to it, and that would appear more rusticated that you're mentioning. This is a very smooth block where it's actually ground. The surface of the block is ground very smooth. So it's a very highly finished product. We use this oftentimes as a finished interior surface in certain buildings. But I think if the intent would be that it be more rough in the way that a mountain rock is, we can get a very similar material with a split face that would have a much more rougher surface. And I think in that situation, rather than doing the standard bond pattern you see here, we might want to consider doing basically a stack bond, which would probably help obscure the lines of the mortar a bit in a way that it won't appear quite as much like a standard block wall like this does. So it certainly, if someone wants to include that in the motion, I would be fine making that change.
It was just a thought because the inspiration was the Arizona rock that was the base of the original band
Sure.
shell.
No, that's a fair comment, John. I agree.
So my preference would be rusticated, but I'm only commenting at the board's pleasure.
Understood.
Either one, I would just interject that either one does not. It provides a very nice, clean, finished look, not like a typical just CMU block wall.
Yes.
This will not appear as like a regular block wall.
That's the concern. Yeah, that it doesn't.
So.
Otherwise,
Okay. I just want to make a remark. I'm very happy that you changed the color. Yellow was really too much gas station. Brown is totally appropriate. Okay, it's very classy. And I think that was an excellent idea. Okay. John's idea as far as the brand face block is valid. And, I have no problem with that. But again, like I said, I must congratulate on the change of color. This sells the project to me. So this is really good.
Okay.
Michael, do we have to vote on anything over here? Do we need to make a motion?
They have not finished.
I would say, hold on a minute. Can I share, or is it everyone open for this?
Michael,
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
we're showing the lighting plan as well.
I'm going to make.
That's what I'm going to bring up here in a minute.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Eric.
All right.
And I'm sorry, to clarify, John, I was talking about the lights under the pavilion are definitely bronze. Eric will have to address the lighting that's the pole lighting on the site.
Okay.
Yeah.
Eric, you can share.
Okay, so I think we'll just stick with what am I trying to go do here? I got too many things open. Now I'm on the spotlight.
Your turn, Eric.
Yeah. So since we were talking about lighting, I'm just going to go to the fixtures right away real quick here. Hopefully I can bring those up.
And I also will say, Michael, that even though it's not a circle, that you have recreated the axis with a center point that kind of has that geometrical form. Thank you with something. I appreciate the thoughtfulness.
It sort of brought those sides in to create, it's not round, but it creates that compressed form in the center that has, that just helps to create that sort of geometry without actually making a circle.
It's a very reasonable solution.
Thanks.
So real quickly, this was some stuff that that the electrical engineer, Chris Monright, I kind of put together as far as like trying to show what this is going to look like, actually lit up. So there's one option there. Hopefully these are all in the same folder.
Eric, we're just seeing like a list of files. We're not seeing the actual images.
Oh, interesting.
We're seeing like the thumbnail files.
How do I do this? Let me try this again.
You have to share the application and not the, it's strange.
All right, how about now?
We see one of the images of the pavilion from the back.
Okay. All right, so so Chris Monrad had put to assist with the lighting and try to just bring this into what we're trying to do. He had put together the schematics real quickly to kind of represent what we're trying to accent and how it's kind of glow at night and what it's going to look like. Then he also provided the photometrics of how much light's going to be concentrated in the area, again with the glow in the central and then fading out. And I think that's it for that portion. I'm going to have to go back and forth here. Sorry, I'm not as good with Zoom.
Another quickie question, since the planters are again planters, will they be having the tangerine lace vines that you originally proposed?
I didn't hear that question very well.
Since the planter bases are again planter bases, will the vines be the tangerine lace vine that were
Yes,
were
sir.
proposed
Yep.
there? Okay.
Right now they're tangerine crossvine, and that's all we have planting wise in them. That's correct. So hopefully now you're looking at a PDF, possibly.
Yes.
Okay. So light poles, light fixtures, we are showing the existing historical light fixtures. And then we have how to zoom in on this. Sorry, this is like in the worst place. Trying to go north. Crap. Okay. So in most cases, the historical visitors are staying in place. We're not touching those historical visitors along the perimeter and within the park themselves. We are having additional light fixtures installed around the dog park to add additional site lighting, and then we are having a few other additional fixtures installed in the park to increase security, light safety, and wayfinding within the site itself. We are relocating 3 fixtures. We are relocating this fixture where we're adding handicap parking and providing the handicap ramp at this location. We're just moving it over a bit because it's in the ramp and it's within the ramp, and it's either remove a parking space or adjust the light location. The other 2 light fixtures that we're adjusting is we're moving this light fixture about 5 feet to the east to be more in line with the north-south walkway, and this one as well about 5 feet to the east for the walkway. While I'm here, I'm going to stay on site stuff because trying to go to 2 different things, I'm going to screw this up. We have some benches located on the south end here, total of 4. And then we also have our raised seat wall planter, which will be another seating spot. And then we have another 4 benches as you go to the north. And then we have 2 benches within, or 2 picnic tables within the actual dog park areas, one for the small dog park and one for the larger dog park, dog run space. And that addresses the site furnishings from that aspect. What other site elements do we need to talk about? I think that covers everything. I'm going to zoom out real quick in case you have not seen our final site plan per se. What did I just do?
New kind of modern 60s looking halo fixtures that were held up by two pods in the last.
So fixtures, I thought I brought that up. Let me see if it's in my PDFs here. Nope, that's not it.
And there were options for color.
All right. The stuff all overlaps and you can't grab and move stuff. Crap. No. All right. Monred's plans, the electrical plans. Okay. Hopefully you guys, can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So again, we went over, these are new fixtures, some of the old historical fixtures and what's being done there. Light fixtures themselves, again, the ones that Michael just brought up with inside the pavilion are here. And their technical information, and then the new light poles are these very clean looking light fixtures. With either set at grade and or raised up off grade at the dog park itself. A very clean fixture, and I believe these are all, thought they were silver. I'm pretty sure they're silver.
Do you actually have cut sheets of those lights?
These are the cut sheets.
No, I mean realistic. I mean the actual pictures of the lights.
Let's see if I can pull one up.
Yeah,
I found them online and they're kind of neat. They've been used around the city in a few spots, but you do have options for color, and I think bronze might fit in with the instead of silver in terms of aging, so that they
Right.
don't look.
So
paint.
John, you've seen these lights used in other locations and you're satisfied with them for the park?
I think they're okay. They're modern, kind of 60-ish, but I think they provide very nice downlight. They're not offensive. They're kind of classical in a 60s classical sort of way.
Okay,
And I've seen images of where they've been used on other public buildings in the city, and they seem pretty reasonable, but they do provide options. I think this is from memory. I think they're the 18 series of that manufacturer's lights.
all right. What about the lights in the dog run?
this is the same fixture.
Yeah.
Oh, it is?
They
Yeah.
should provide good down light without doing anything to the clear skies ordinance.
Are the lights on the dog run the same height as the lights along the sidewalk?
Yes.
They're all about I think they're all about 18 feet, aren't they? Or you got the shorter version from these plans. It looks like 14
I
feet.
think it's 14 and 11'6" and 14 foot. But see, this one's again, you got to add 30 inches, so they're both 14 feet.
It's like the fencing colors that are coming up instead of black, which doesn't age real well. Kind of a bronze finish that might go with the new color scheme for the pavilion. Might be a more neutral, historically appropriate sort of compromise delineating new and old.
Okay. I don't have an objection to that. My personal thought was it was more like a because we have the silver black historical fixtures that you would want to have more of like a silver pole.
I think they're going to look like the wireless towers in stainless steel that we've got popped up around the neighborhood. I think more
Okay.
kind of blending in, but complementing rather than mimicking the historic would be better,
Okay, we'll go
in
with
my
bronze.
humble opinion.
I've got the brochure up. If you want me to show it.
Stop sharing, then go ahead.
See, now I got to figure out how to share again. Oh,
I
I cannot.
need to make you co-host.
Okay.
Do you have photometrics on the dog run too? If I read that right, it looks like you got quite a few lights around the.
Go ahead, Michael.
I do not have I do not have the photometrics playing with me. I'm sure somebody can provide, but we've provided adequate lighting for security and safety for it.
So you can see the fixture here in an application. And this is in the darker finish, as you can see. This is more of a close-up of just the head. There it is, a little more distance to see those. They are full cutoff, so they're completely in compliance, obviously, with dark skies ordinance. These are the drawings. It's this fixture is the one that we're calling out. I think there may be a few that have the arms on them. Is that correct, Eric? Versus just
the dog park ones, I think, have the arms on them.
okay. And let's see. And then there's different photometrics. I mean, you can, these have been specified for the application to make sure we get the right lighting levels. That gives you kind of sense of what these end up looking like. It's not the greatest picture there. There's the arm mount, just so you can see the different application of it versus the top mount. We don't have any of these wall mount ones that I know of.
No, that's correct. We do not.
I think that's it. And then there's the
The color options.
Yeah. So there's a gray, white, metallic, green, bronze. There's two different bronze, and then there's a black. So
From the color when I downloaded it, I think it's the bronze satin that's
Yeah,
one.
Okay.
Yeah, the bronze set looks okay. Yeah.
That's it.
So anything that we hadn't covered, I wanted basically the paint color for the fence. I was proposing it is a black. Hold on, let me get to that.
I need to get you back as a co-host, Eric.
Yeah, you gotta share again.
Yeah.
Should be good to go.
Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Oops, where'd it go? So it's called a carbonized wood. It's a kind of like a flatter black and a satin option for the fence is what we were thinking, but we could go with the bronze for the fence as well if you'd like. I did spend a lot of time driving around Armory Park looking at the neighborhood to see what kind of fencing options were there, and black seemed to be the more predominant one.
but it always fades to kind of a really ugly, dusty gray. And bronze tends to age better.
Okay, I just understood. I just didn't see even really bronze ones. I saw natural rusted metal ones and white and other colors, but not the prominent ones black. But I don't have a. If you want all bronze, we can call all the, as far as trying to get the same color match, I think that's fine with me.
Have we specified the type of fence for the dog park yet?
Yep. Hold on, let me bring that plan up. Just 1 second.
They originally tried to lower it, but they had to stay at 5 feet per park.
I must have missed it. What kind of fencing is it? It's not chain link, is it?
Not
No.
chilling. I'm getting there.
It's a steel mesh with a 1 foot spacer up above to get to 5 feet for safety. I think you showed us a rusty picture.
Why is it doing this? Why is it doing this?
Yeah, we're seeing a picnic table.
Yeah, I'm trying to switch between. It's like got some color. It was like trying to let me draw.
Those are different than the last version. Are they rusticated bases?
Try this again.
Park stuff. One thing Elliot mentioned at the neighborhood meeting was that there may not be funding to put in the 8 spaces in the Western Desert Park area at the moment. Is that?
Yeah, I'll get into that in a second here. So,
Okay.
Oh wait, that's crap. I closed the wrong set of drawings. 1 second here.
I believe in you, Eric.
Ah, man.
Been a long day for both of us.
Okay. So everyone's seeing the site plan now.
Yes.
Hopefully. Yes, great. Okay. Sorry, I closed this one and kept the civils open. or the electrical is open. Oops, I passed it.
There you go.
All right, so it's a tubular steel fence with 2 top rails and 1 bottom rail with pickets at 3 inches on center for the smaller dogs or just dogs in general. And it's basically 5 feet tall, 5'1" with the small little cap on top of the fence itself. I mean,
I'm just curious, but do we have a water feature for the dogs in the dog park?
do we have the what? I'm sorry?
Do we have a water feature for the dogs?
We have,
Something
okay,
that can-
yes, we have drinking fountains for the dogs.
There it is. Oh, it was on that last sheet.
We have a drinking fountain on this side, and one in the center here. And that serves the drinking fountains for the dogs.
Do we have a dog's waste station where
Yes, we do.
you can pick up some? Okay. What is it like on the pole with the where we store some plastic baggie and the homeowners can use them as desired? Is that what it is?
Yeah, basically it's a standard park. It's called Doggy. Actually might be on this plan. Hold on here. Nope, I wouldn't be lucky enough to do that. There it is. Doggy Pot Pet Station, Forest Green.
Oh, okay.
And I'm sorry, I misspoke. We have 2 of those, 1 for each park, and then we have a drinking fountain we have 1 drinking fountain outside the park.
Okay.
I mean, that's at the entrance of the dog park.
And it's blue.
It is blue. And this goes too fast at times.
Does it have to be blue?
The blue is a park standard. I gotta say, I don't love the blue in some of our parks, mostly because it gets really, really hot.
It'd be nice to kind of have a neutral consistency to the new elements if possible.
Sorry, guys,
I'm
my wife
fine with
just got
that.
home and my dogs are losing their mind.
You're good, Eric. I'm fine with the not blue.
So I'm sorry. We have 1 drinking fountain that's at the center between as you enter, and then the 2 doggy pod stations are on either side. Sorry for misrepresenting that. And
Well, what kind of soil are we putting in those dog parks?
because we are retaining the historical context, this is all grass.
It's going to be what?
It's going to be grass. This is all
It's gonna be
natural
good.
grass.
Good. Okay.
So the only thing that's still ixnayed is the hackberries, correct? On the planning list?
I'm sorry, what was that, John?
The only plant that's still nixed is the hackberry.
So the only, so what, I'm sorry, we brought that back up too. So the next,
Because you've gotten feedback, I think. But otherwise, it's the same plant schedule that it's been for a long time.
you are correct. So basically, we have pistache trees along the front. We have ash restoring the outer perimeter. And then we had a few pistaches in the company's other spots. And then we had hackberries along this edge here. To the point, this entire item here may become an ad alternate because of available funding to construct it.
How much is it out of the budget of 1.6 for the repairs to
It's
the park?
It's a good 100,000, between 80 to 100,000.
Wow, for 8 parking places and a couple plants?
That's part of the reason to not include it. It's about the demo work is not too much. We do have a swirl that's on its kind of last leg up here that we're removing. The other swirl we're keeping in place. It's more just the curb work and forms and then meeting City of Tucson transportation standards for that and also for these other spots. We've tried to get transportation and Parkwise and others to help in some of these aspects, and it's not going to happen, unfortunately.
We do have a $30,000, but we'd have to consult the neighborhood association, but it got a $30,000 Parkwise grant for pedestrian improvements that maybe some, and I don't think there's that much sidewalk that needs to be fixed. We may be able to chip in a little bit. That would be a further discussion, obviously, with the relative bodies, but if it doesn't get funded pretty soon, it's not going to be funded in the current climate, I would expect.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think right now our game plan is to make sure that we can get the primary, all the park improvements that are
Fair up.
specifically what we need to do, the restroom facilities that we're doing, restoring the park to its historical context, bringing in the pavilion, and adding security lighting, doing all the things that we are needing to do for the bond. The parking lot was never really one of them, but it was more like no one wants people parking in this park anymore. And our design was to ensure that that was not going to happen based on what we're trying to put together here, and that providing parking is a good option for the people that are working in the facilities. But also knowing that we weren't able to get Parkwise funds or even transportation funds to help support that, that was an item to say, look, this is an added alternate item that if we have available funding and pricing comes in reasonable, that it'll be part of the project. If it's not reasonable, then, and we don't get favorable funding, then it's the first item to go, just because one, it's kind of isolated on its own. Second, it's not necessarily a requirement. And third, we're starting to pull funds that were for park improvements, for parking improvements, which is one of those
I
fine
understand.
line.
Yeah, as long as they don't park in the park, they'll find parking elsewhere through Parkwise programs, I expect.
True. So
Yeah, Eric did a good job of hitting all those points. I will say, like, there are ongoing discussions between parks and other entities as to what we can do around this. Obviously, it's not a priority because it's not in the bond. If we need to purchase parking passes from Park Tucson for city employees, that's what we'll have to do, right? It was done before, it can be done again. It is a cost, and it's bared by the operations of parks. So we're still working on stuff, and we'll definitely have it as an adult and see what it comes in as and what our budget looks like.
Stan, do you have any questions?
Is there an irrigation system for the park?
oh yes,
Okay,
this is the irrigation plan. We are impacting several areas right now. There's really no irrigation in the spot here, so this is where the biggest impacts are occurring. But we are moving heads around and making adjustments and extending heads. Right now, this is with a band shell, or what do you call it, a band shell? Just a stage without a cover on it in this location, restoring the turf in this area, redoing heads in this location. So we are impacting a fair amount of the irrigation system itself.
okay, very good. Thank you.
Lynn, do you have any questions?
I got a little confused there about the parking and paying for parking for people that work in the center or people parking in the parks. I'm lost.
So I'm sorry. So really the issue is, and some of this is my own personal beliefs on this, is we have bond money that we're supposed to spend money for improving the park. And
Right.
doing improvements to the park itself, not for parking.
Right.
Parking, once we got involved about 2 years ago and saw that several people parked in the park, and many of those people we believe are employees, that we thought we should evaluate and find, is there a location on site to provide parking for them? And that's where we found along Fifth Avenue, this possibility of providing some
Okay,
parking for them.
I have a question. What makes them so special? They can park like everybody else that parks in that lives in that, works in that neighborhood.
My understanding is what happens.
Eric, I'll take that one.
Okay. Yeah.
Not necessarily special, just that they're parks employees in an area that like a lot of downtown provides parking for their employees. So
Sure.
nothing particularly special.
Okay, but a lot of downtown doesn't, and that money should be spent on the park, not for parking for city employees
Agreed.
in any way, not for buying them city parking passes or making more
No.
parking spaces or
Not at all.
anything like that.
No, that's not what I was insinuating. As I mentioned, that would be a cost that was borne by the operations department of parks.
Okay,
One other little quickie, we discussed the potential Armory Park tree at some point. It's obviously not on this plan. I assume talks could continue and some extension of the thing down in that kind of southwest triangle could be extended to a tree if the discussions go further at a later date.
So on that, John, we've talked about that. Matt and I talked about it, and he's obviously on the call, I believe, still. Our thought was just the restoration planting itself and identifying one of those trees as part of that restoration plan was addressing that issue, or and not providing just a separate tree in the park per se. Did I misunderstand or misinterpret that decision?
I think the neighborhood's intention was to have a tree that was identified as a neighborhood memorial tree. And it presented itself in the southwest quadrant as an area that didn't have trees that could be used as an area to balance the existing retained trees on the north side quadrangle.
Okay.
But like a pistache or something like that, that the neighborhood could pay for a sign denoting it. Instead of just a big empty expanse of grass there to help balance the tree plantings overall. But I'm gonna throw that out there. It could be done, I assume, at a later time with an extension to the landscaping if parks and the designers can add another tree.
Yeah, you were looking at somewhere in this location, and that's where again my misinterpretation of what we were talking about, but we were thinking it was part of the succession plantings. But I think we might be able to accommodate that. We'll see what we can do cost wise.
That's all. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, I have a simple question. I like what you guys are doing. I think this is a good job. Okay, I'm just curious. Are these the final plans, or is there more to come?
These are the final plans. We just turned them in today for Elliot to help assist and get them through the different agencies for approvals. So you were
Okay, so
looking at the
we're gonna have a
final set.
motion. We're gonna have a motion to approve it after our discussion here. And if everything is approved, which I believe we will, do we know when construction is going to start?
I would say that if we could start tomorrow, we would be behind schedule.
Yes. So the goal would then be to go to PRS at the end of this month. I think that's on the 27th.
I think so.
Hopefully, I mean, I'll get the stuff back in, everything back into permitting first thing tomorrow. Hopefully that doesn't take more than 2 weeks since we've gone through several cycles. We'll go out to bid mid-April. We'll probably get those back first, second week of May, award early June, start construction in July. That's a rough schedule.
Okay, and do we know how long construction is going to take?
I'll leave that to Eric.
I would say it's going to be 8 months to a year.
Okay, so we do realize that the homeless population which is going to be shut out from Santa Rita Park, which is going under construction about the same time, is also going to be shut out from Armory Park. Do we have a plan?
Yeah, that's a good point. And we have been discussing that internally and with our partners over at Housing First and Housing Community Development. So yes, we are aware of that, and I think it will be, we're offering services obviously all the time, doing their touch points out there, especially at Santa Rita, and ramping those up as that gets closer to construction. And we can do the same thing at Armory Park.
Will you be putting up a construction fence all the way around it?
So that's a good question. That's something we probably won't get into details of until we have a contractor on board. Obviously, to fence off the entire park would be expensive and not terribly ideal, but it's going to depend on how that contractor wants to approach it.
And regarding the conversation today about colors and other things, can that just be guidance that you all work out if the board wishes it, or does it need to be specified in the motion the board would choose to make?
What do you, in what way, or I guess clarify that question?
If the board thought that bronze was a good idea for a general color scheme for all the new elements instead of blacks, does that need to be in a motion, or are you?
If you tell me you want bronze, we'll make it bronze. I have no problem.
You'll have to ask the board. I'm just a citizen advisor that can take part in the discussion, but I can't make a motion or vote.
John, it's just we've worked together for so many different things.
I'm retired officially.
I'll make a motion.
I'll
make a motion that plans be approved as submitted with the following conditions. The color of all the lights be the lighter shade of bronze that was presented to us. There was two colors of bronze. One's a darker, one's a lighter one. We'd prefer the lighter one. And then the other condition would be that the stonework at the seats under the covered area would be a split face dark block rather than the smooth finish that was presented this evening.
And I second that motion.
Okay, I would like to amend that motion to make it clear that we would like to have, like John said, to have a memorial tree in the southwest quadrant. And since it does not appear in the plans now, it's something the neighborhood has been, wanting, and I think we should go with this. So with the motion amended, okay. Let's vote. Okay, Lynn.
In here, honey.
You need to get the motioner and the seconder to agree.
Mr. Chair, the motion maker has to agree to your amendment. The seconder has to agree to it before you vote, please.
Agreed.
So
And I agree as well.
Thank you. Then you can proceed to your vote, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so let's vote on it. Okay, Stan?
Agreed, yes.
Agreed.
Lynn?
Agreed.
Agreed from me. So the motion is accepted. Okay, so moving along. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for bearing with us through all of this, and really appreciate your thoughtful stuff all the way through. You too, Elliot. It's nice to meet you live the other day.
I thank all of you for working together on this and going through this process. We really appreciate it, and looking forward to making these improvements.
Yeah, thank you guys. I can't wait to go and dance there.
Thank you.
And I just want to add my 2 cents and say that the change of
And walk
colors
my dogs.
was an excellent idea. Okay, it changes the whole thing, and it's really acceptable. And I think you guys are doing a great job. So looking forward for construction.
Thank you, Maurice.
Okay. Okay, folks. So Moving along, okay. ABSAB Design Guidelines Project. At this point in time, considering that the new two members are not been confirmed by the city yet, okay. The ABSAB Design Guidelines Project is currently on hold until further notice, which brings us to minor reviews. Okay, Michael, did you have any minor reviews?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, I do have some minor reviews which are mainly solar and the roof project, which I will be contacting you to see if you can get a representative. We are opting to do either a Zoom meeting or an in-person or on-site meeting. But I will contact you with those projects so that you can participate, designate somebody, and then we can agree whether it is going to be a Zoom review or an in-person review.
Okay, very good. Okay. Call to the board.
No comment.
Okay. No call to the board. Okay.
Lynn raised her hand.
Yes. I would very much appreciate receiving notices and information and items that I need to review much earlier than one day prior. Particularly, I mean, I work a 40-hour week. I have a home to take care of, a husband and 4 animals. I do not have time to drop everything and sit for hours to review paperwork. I need time to do that. So if I'm expected to be prepared, I need time to do that.
I would
I'm
agree
sure
with
we're
you
all
100%.
very busy.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that, Lynn. So that, yes, that's true for me too.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, I think it's.
Can I give a response? Yes, we strive to try to make sure applications or review materials get to you no later than 1 week before the meeting. But what we face a lot of time is that the application is submitted to us late at the nick of time, even though we give them deadline no later than this day. Applicants submit to us late for projects like the one you just reviewed. These are capital improvement projects that sometimes it goes through a long process to get the materials to staff to forward it to you. But we will do our best to make sure that we get the materials to you as quickly as we can. That has always been our goal. We will continue to work on that, and I believe we can improve on that.
And I understand with the Armory Park, we've all seen that before. We didn't need to study it. And I also understand that you said that the other project was taken off of our agenda for today. However, time was spent researching that. Time was spent driving down the street, only to be told it's not on the table any longer.
It is going to come to you, board member.
And excuse me, may I finish, please? If the applicants are submitting their applications late, then perhaps they should not be permitted to present them to the board in what they might consider a timely fashion. Perhaps they should be scheduled for the next monthly meeting. Although that might be inconvenient for them, they should have presented their materials in the time they should have, that they were allotted.
I agree 100% with Lynn.
Okay,
Yeah,
board
yeah.
members, we have heard and we work on that.
Well, Lena's, and, have a very good point. I was a little disappointed that, we were aware of that meeting at such a late date without a link, okay, to the material, okay. Okay, things happen, I understand. Okay, let's make sure that, things go smoothly from here on, and let's move on. Any comments?
Just for the record, Helen is in Italy. She will be back on Thursday. And Michael, do you have an update? You thought that Matt and Steve would be appointed by now. Do you have an update on the timeline for them to expect to be on a mayor and council agenda? April?
Maria is here, and I think she can give an update on that. I am actually not working on that.
Okay.
Maria is here. Maria, do you have an update on that?
No, I don't, Mr. Roberts, members of the Historic Advisory Board, I do not have an update on that.
Because if they don't join until May, that's 7 months after they were appointed by the neighborhood, which is not a reasonable timeline. Especially since they've already been approved by all the relevant parties within the planning department for appointment.
And I understand that John may just be a valued contributor, but as a board member, I agree wholeheartedly with his comments.
Yeah, I do too.
I do too.
And, yeah, I have another question. Okay. The question came up that by February 28th, we had to recertify with the advisory board with the city. Okay, and if I remember well, our conversation, Michael, you, I believe, in Maria, were going to come up with some kind of formula in order to present a template, you called it, to present it to the certification, the board, the certification board. Was this done and was it approved? We're talking about attendance reports and marker reports.
The annual reports.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Roberts, members of the advisory board, I started working on those. It's gonna take me a while because we have such an unprecedented workload in the past few weeks, but I started working on those.
Maria, I offer
You,
if you do have an open document, I can fill in some of this stuff just from my basic records.
Yeah, for the Armory Park, because we need to do it for the other 7 or so
Okay.
Boards and committees. But the only thing I have pending is just the attendance. That's all. But I've done the rest. Thank you,
I
Mr.
think
Burr.
for Armory Park, we have actually done the majority of the work because we are trying to use the Armory Park example to be a template for the rest of the advisory boards that we're going to do going forward. So we decided to use Armory Park as the guinea pig, if you may call it. So, but we've done a lot of work on it and we're almost near completion right now.
Yeah, Jody did it last year. He had to go back and forth to the clerk's office about 5 times before they would accept it. So
yeah,
that would be a good template since they approved that one.
Maria and I are using a different method of doing it from what Jody did. So I think we're making it a little bit much more user-friendly for the chairs to be able to do it without staff really doing it for the advisory board. Let's see what we come out.
It'd be great.
Once we finalize that, we're going to share it with you to get your comments so that we know how to go from there. Our goal is to make it user-friendly, so anybody who is a chair can quickly just jump in and fill in the blank, and it should be good to go.
That'd be really cool. That's the way way back when.
Yeah, and
Okay.
Mr. Roberts, Mr. Board members of the advisory board, we're trying to follow a consistent formatting like we use for like the design review board and other committees for these annual reports. So sort of like, you know, a standard, you know, for all these BCCs. But you will have a
Okay.
chance to take a look at it.
So
Okay, if it's gonna help.
one of the things the board may want to know is that in the past, in the historic preservation section, we did certain things differently from what our department was doing. So we are trying to harmonize everything now, which is basically what Maria is saying. We're trying to make it be consistent with all the boards and commissions that we have at PDSD. So that is why it's taking us, that's also the reason why it's taking us a little bit to get this thing reformatted to mirror what has been done in design review board, the planning commission, and all that. So, but we'll
Okay, if it's gonna help, okay, as you know, okay, I am the commissioner representing Ward 6 for the Tucson Parks and Recreation Department. And we presented our annual report on time and within a very, very customer-friendly template to do it. If you would like me to, I could ask the folks at Parks and Recreation to give me a blank template and email it to you. Would you like me to do that?
no,
It's a bit.
our report, the report that they expect from us is slightly different from what you do at Parks and Rec. Those reports are actually tailored towards what each body does. So what you do here as an advisory board is slightly different from what you're probably doing, what sits with Parks and Rec. We need to keep a record of how many cases you have reviewed, how many minor cases you have gone through, how many full reviews. We need to check your attendance to see how many board members, how often do you attend meetings, how many meetings have you been absent, and all that. So it's a little bit different. That's why I would say that we thank for the offer, but we're actually very close.
Okay.
I have a question, and at the risk of sounding overly assertive, which is so easy for a woman to be, what is the timeline on this? When do you think that the new members on the board will go before the mayor and committees, and when will the documents that Maurice is asking about be completed? Do we have a timeline of any sort?
So, Mr. Roberts and Ms. Sutherland, members of the advisory board, we have a new HPO coming in finally Monday. So,
Congratulations.
yeah, so as these new HPO transitions into her position, you know, there's gonna be a learning curve and all that, but I'm hoping that frees my time a little bit. So I'm hoping to complete at least your report this week. I'm not sure if the advisory boards actually go in front of mayor and council anymore, or just the reports are just forwarded to mayor and council, period.
It's at the whim annually of mayor and council whether boards present live, or it changed during COVID.
Yeah, that I know the design review board does not present anymore. We were informed by the clerk's office a few years ago that that was not needed anymore. So again, we will hear back from the clerk's office, and they will be the ones that will determine and will schedule that if the advisory board goes forward in front of mayor and council, they will schedule that.
Okay, so have we been waiting 7 months to get that question answered?
I didn't know that was a question.
You didn't
Okay,
know it was a question,
the
we
question-
were waiting for them to get approved?
The question is, we've been waiting for 7 months for these board members to be approved.
Oh, the board members. Yeah, I don't know, Ms. Sutherland. I don't know where the clerk's office is in that process.
Okay, who might know?
Specifically, well, we can reach out to our superiors and see if they have any information to provide.
Okay,
Or we
would
can
you do
reach
that?
out to the clerk's office. Oh, definitely. We'll do that.
Thank you.
Is it Desiree Aranda that's coming on board?
Yes, Mr. Burr, that's
Great.
correct.
Good.
And so far as I know,
Okay.
she's scheduled to be in the office March 24th, Monday next week.
That should help everybody a lot.
Yes.
Quite the process. I bet you're exhausted from it.
Yeah, as you know, we're
Okay.
taking care of other sections in the department as well. So yes, the
Everybody
The
in the
new
country is
HBO.
doing more with less.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, Maria, I'm looking over here, and I received a letter from the city clerk's office. Okay, this was back in February of 14, saying that the annual they need 2 hard copies of the annual report by February 28th, and that the annual report must be filed with the city clerk's office each year by March 15th, so that you should know what's going on.
Okay,
So
thank you very much.
I don't know whether we need to actually contact the BCC, the boards, committee, and commissions, okay, and tell them that we're running into a little delay. I don't know whether they're looking for that information, but
Maurice, just respond that the staff have taken on that responsibility this year and CC both Michael and Maria, and then the clerk will know that it's being handled by you, and you can have the discussions on the process with them so that
all right,
Maurice is off the hook.
Thank you.
that sounds good. Okay. Okay, folks. Well, I think we pretty much covered the whole agenda, so we'll adjourn the meeting for tonight.
Thank you and good night.
Thank you.
So we are
Thank you for
adjourning the meeting at 7:51 p.m. for the record.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Need a motion to adjourn?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Motion to adjourn, Stan? Are you making a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second the motion. Okay, so
Lynn laughed.
everybody
Don't have
says
a
hi.
quorum, it's over.
No, okay, that's true.
Night all.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
good night. All. Okay, bye.
Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you. Good night.
Okay, bye.
7:52 p.m.